Hello and welcome to One Card Wonder Wednesday for Wednesday, August 8th, 2018. I thought I would do this one live from my group today, so let's see if I can get it pulled up here so I make sure I have everything in frame. Today I'm going to be using the Tea Room Suite, which is on page 14 and 15 of the annual catalog. This set is adorable. It's very vintagey. I really love it. Now that I've been playing with it, I know I need to order these Tea Room Memories and More card packs because I just think they would be adorable in scrapbook pages and to make some cards with. So let's move on. I'm going to show you the card. This is the card we're going to make today. I just can't get enough of this set. I love the paper. I love everything about it. It just speaks to me. Hi, Aunt Sherry. How are you? So I'm going to set this aside off to the left here. You should still be able to see it in the camera, but while we're working on this one. So the first thing I did was I cut a piece of very vanilla thick cardstock in half. So it's 8.5 wide by 5.5. And then that will be folded to make our card base. But for now, I'm just going to set that aside because we don't need that yet. The first thing I want to do is show you how I colored the teacup. I used the Stampin' blends. First, I stamped the teacup with the stamp set in Memento ink, and then I used the rich raspberry, the dark rich raspberry, and I went over all the lines of the cup with the dark. And then I'll go in and fill in with the light after I get all the lines outlined in this dark rich raspberry. Now for the handle, I just went ahead and just filled it in with the dark instead of trying to outline it because it wouldn't have done a very good job of outlining it. It would have just filled it in anyway. So I like using these blends because it just makes it so much easier for the coloring for me. Don't get me wrong, the Stampin' Right markers work great too, but for this type of coloring, I like the blends better. And then I went ahead and used the light rich raspberry and I went around the top of the cup, just around the edge, because I want to fill that in to make it look like there's tea in there. And then I just blended over the entire rest of the image. I want to make sure I don't get inside the cup where I want to do the tea. Looks like I went a little bit outside of the line there, but that's okay. We can fix that with the color lifter. I just like how it gives it's not all monotone when you do it. Let me find my color lifter here. It's in one of my cases. Now the color lifter is great, so if you go outside of a line a little bit, you can just go ahead and use the color lifter and it'll take some of that color off for you. Now, because this is a pinkish, the raspberry color, it's not going to take it all off. Reds are the hardest to get off, but it take enough off just so you don't see it so much. And then I used the light crumb cake, the brush end, and just colored in the tea. And I went over it a couple times just to make it a little darker. I could have used the darker crumb cake, but I thought the light was the perfect because then it looks like you got cream and sugar in your tea, which is how I like it. Then I took the Wink of Stella and I just went ahead and just went over the tea just to give it a little bit of sparkle. I didn't do the entire cup, I just did the tea. And now as you can see, I'm going to put that a little closer to the camera. You can see the differences in where I colored more. It's a little darker, and where the outlines are, it's a little darker because I used the darker. But it just gives it a little bit of a dimension to your cup. So I'm going to set that aside. Now on the original card that I made, I cut this medallion out using the silver. But I wanted to try it with copper just to see the different metallic papers, and I really like the way the copper looks. I used the Stitch Season framelits. Those are available only this month, and I had them right here. Here they are. The Stitch Season framelits, and I like them because it gives you a stitch on the inside of where you've cut it out and on the outside edge. So this has the stitch on it, and then on the other piece of copper, there's a stitch on that as well. So then I took the back of the metallic paper, and I'm just going to use the snail adhesive, and for some reason it's got a clump on it. There we go. Maybe not. There we go. I think I'm running out of snail. Let me see if I have another refill here. And I do, yay. Let me just quickly refill that. That's a nice thing. They just pop out and pop in. First I thought, why am I, no, of course no, this one's gonna be finicky as well. Okay, good thing I don't need a lot of that. I took one of the colored doilies in Coastal Cabana. Now the colored doilies come in a pack of, let me see how many are in here. Pack of 24, so you get 6 of each color, and they come in Coastal Cabana, Flirty Flamingo, Grapefruit Grove, and Old Olive. And I just stuck it after I chopped off just a little bit of this corner after I cut it in half, because I just don't want that little edge sticking out. Just stuck it on the edge of the back there. So now when you put it on your paper, I move it a little further down, so it's not in the middle between the up and down. I have a little more space at the top than I do at the bottom. And this paper is from the Tea Room Specialty Designer Series paper, and I'm going to show you that real quick because it's just gorgeous. You get 24 sheets, and so there are 6 different patterns. And on one side it's mostly the florals, and then you've got the bumblebees, which I love, the butterflies, the florals, and then when you flip it over, that's when you get more of the geometric patterns, which I think are gorgeous as well. And that's where I got this yellow background paper from. So now that I've got that finished, we've already got our cup colored, I'm going to take this little, that's like a doily, and that comes, you can cut that out with the Spot of Tea framelits that come in the tea time, or time for tea, I'm not sure what it's called, sweet tea time, I believe. And I did the sentiment, warmed with love, steeped in friendship, because I just thought that was really cute. And I stamped that in Calypso Coral. Make sure I turn my stamper on. I'm going to stamp it on there backwards. I guess wouldn't make a difference since this is round. I could turn it around, but still, I'm on camera. I want to make it look good, right? So now I have that stamped, and I put some dimensionals on the back of that, just the regular size dimensionals. I'm just going to flip that over and put some dimensionals on the back of it. And you only need about 3. You could use 2 if you wanted, but to me it kind of makes it a little bit wobbly, so I try to do 3. And now before I stick this on, I have this piece of the mini sequin trim that I want to use in the silver. And I want to make just a little loop out of it, and I want it to be coming out from underneath this Steeped in Friendship doily. So I'm just going to take my glue dots and I'm going to roll them back, and I'm going to stick the ends of my little thing on my little sequin trim on there. And I'm going to stick them right about where this little point comes out. And well, maybe a little bit higher, just so my little loop just hangs down, just as a little decoration. It's easier to put it on there now than to wait and try to get it underneath this little doily. So I did that ahead of time, and I went ahead and stuck this down. Now also from the Designer Series paper, I hand cut these flowers. They're just so pretty. I'm like, I had to put flowers on here, but I didn't want to just have like a rectangle shaped piece of paper. I wanted it to be something that stood out a little bit. So that's why I decided to cut them out by hand. I'm gonna go ahead and put that piece on there. And then with the teacup, I went ahead and on the bottom of it, because I want it to stand up even a little more. If this were a card that you were going to mail, it would cost you extra postage, or you'd have to mail it in a bubble envelope just because of the way it's being made. I doubled up on my dimensionals on the bottom there, and I should have paid attention to how I was sticking it on there, because now I got a piece sticking out. Just need to trim that off. But I doubled them up on there, and then I used a mini dimensional on the top of the cup, because this dimensional is going to stick to this paper here, and that's already raised up. So that's why we need 2 at the bottom to make it even just a little bit higher. And it doesn't have to be centered. I kind of moved it over just a little bit, so it's just a little off center. Not too off center, but just a little bit. And then I took this flower and I went ahead and put dimensionals on it as well. And I used 3 on this. Now this Specialty Designer Series paper for the Tea Time Suite, it's perfect for doing, you know, cutting out and fussy cutting and, you know, using the little pieces. And that's what I wanted to do with this card, because you use a lot of, you know, the Big Shot a lot, and that's great. Don't get me wrong, I love the Big Shot. I mean, I cut all of these out with the Big Shot. But they don't have framelits for everything. So sometimes you have to cut things out by hand. Now the next thing that I cut out by hand is obviously this tiny little butterfly here. And what I did with the butterfly is I take it and I just fold it in half. So you're gonna see the back of it. And then I use some of the fine tip glue pen, and you can use whatever kind of glue you want to use. I use this because it dries pretty quick. Of course, I left a big bubble on there, but and I flip it around and I bring it over just to the edge and just hold it there for a minute, just to the edge of the metallic paper, and hold it there just long enough so till it stays for a minute so it can dry on its own. And that's what's nice about this glue, is that it dries pretty quick, so you don't have to sit and wait for it to dry. And once that's dry, which it's not, it's pretty close to being dry. And this is, like I said, another reason why it would be hard to mail. I went ahead and took my, see, and it's not quite dry because I'm knocking it off from there, my Wink of Stella, and just gave it a little bit of glitter as well. And I could have done that before I even folded it, but apparently I didn't think of that. And now I want to attach this to my card. And since I am having issue with my snail adhesive, I'm just going to use some of the tear and tape. I'm just going to go ahead and go across the bottom of my card, and even though you're supposed to tear it, I'm just not very good at tearing it. I never get it the way I want it, so I'm just gonna cut mine. And I know I don't have to go quite to the edge because my background sheet of paper is just a little bit smaller than the base of this card, so this will be plenty of adhesive to hold it down, probably more than enough, because this is a little bit stronger than the snail adhesive. But it works great, and I do like it. And I think, I haven't put any on there, but I think some little pearls or something on this card would be adorable, because it would just add just a little bit of something. And I have one more small element to put on there as well, and I will after I get this on here. I took a small piece of the Very Vanilla lace trim, which is really a delicate, pretty lace trim. And I just cut a little piece and I knotted it in the center. You have to cut a long enough piece so you can flip it around to knot it here. But then after we knot it, we're gonna cut just a little bit off because it's a little too long. I'm just gonna cut a little bit off the ends because I don't want it really long. I just want to add just a little bit something extra right here. So that's where our glue dots come back into play. I think I use glue dots on just about everything I make these days because they're so easy and no fuss, no muss. Stick a little glue dot on it and just stick it right over here on the edge of that, and it gives it just a little bit more on this side of the card. And there you have it. There is the card for today's One Card Wonder Wednesday, using the Tea Time Suite, I believe it's called, and I don't know why I can't remember that today, but let me make sure that's what it's called. Tea Room Suite, not Tea Time. Tea Room. So there are the 2 cards, one with the gold medallion background and one with the silver foil background. I just thought that was an adorable set to use, and you can see it just gives it a little bit different look with the little bit different metallic background, but still gorgeous either way. And you could use any of the metallic backgrounds on it and it would still be just as pretty. Hi Aria. I just think this set is just very vintage, very girly. I just love it. So maybe you'll be getting one of these cards in the mail. I don't know. We'll see who I'm going to send them to. Everybody have a good day. Thanks for watching. Bye.